to our maths lesson. Yesterday we did adding and so on Wednesday we did common fractions. Yesterday we did adding and subtracting fractions with the like denominators. Today we're going to be doing adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, or you can say unlike fractions, because they do not come from the same place. So today what we're going to learn is the LCD, as well as today we're going to learn to say that there are parts in time where you can even simplify, and there's a lot that you can do so that eventually you'll be able to add the fractions together to get your answer. That eventually you'll be able to add the fractions together to get your answer. Right. So besides having that, I would like to greet everybody. I'd like to greet everybody. I'd like to say hello to everyone. I really appreciate that you guys did take the time to come to the lesson on a Friday. Yes, it is a Friday. It's normally a day where you wanna feel like you're lazy, but it's not a day for laziness. Today it's a day that we need to come in and learn as much as possible. So let us get into the lesson. Let us get into the lesson. Adding and subtracting fractions with different denominators. All right. So we learned this one way yesterday to say that when we add fractions that have a like denominator, the same denominator, we just look at the numerator. The numerators, we add them together, we get our answer. But now, we find now something to say that no. My fractions don't have the same denominator. It's 8 and 3. So I've got 1/8 and 2/3. And what must happen is that I need to change my denominator. But if I change my denominator, I must also change my numerator. I can't just change the denominator alone. I must be a process of both. So if I change my denominator, I must also change my numerator. Then eventually, then I can actually add, because I'll have what? New fractions. So it's very important that when we are adding or subtracting fractions that have the same denominator, we just focus on the numerators. But when the denominator changes, remember now when you have to change the denominators or into something else, you're changing the fraction as a whole. You're changing the whole fraction. You're not just changing one part, you're changing the whole fraction. So it's important that if you're going to change the denominator, you need to also change the numerator. So please quickly for 2 minutes, that we have, quickly write this down, write this example down, write this one quickly. Write it down for the 2 minutes that I'm going to give you now, as quick as possible. As quick as possible. Write it down. As quick as possible. As quick as possible. Write it down. Right over here. Write this. As quick as possible. Write it down. For the 2 minutes. For 2 minutes, quickly write it down. As quick as possible.
Is it gone already?
40 seconds remaining. 40 seconds remaining. Please tell me in the chat when you are done writing down. Please do tell me in the chat when you are done writing. Please do alert me in the chat when you are done writing. All right. So when you're done writing, please alert me in the chat so that we can get into the lesson and discuss on how do you actually go about doing this, how do you actually learn about this. We're going to actually extend this lesson also into next week because it is quite challenging. But once you get the whole story, once you start getting to understand it, it starts making sense. Right. So let's go to the next slide. So whenever I'm trying to solve or I'm trying to add fractions with the different denominators, there's a trick that works, right? So you can see that in a third when you're adding a third with 1/6, this denominator and this denominator over here are different. That's the first thing we understand. So whenever you find that, you need to first think of saying, how do I change my fraction in such a way that I'm able to get a number that these numbers can both change into, right? And when I change into those fractions, I can easily add. The nice easy trick is that, normally they say the common denominator. So sometimes people, what they do, they multiply the two denominators together. They say 3 times 6, right? They say 3 times 6 at the bottom, and then they write here, let's do this. So you have a common denominator. You say 3 times 6. Common denominator means what number can these two divide easily. So we're also looking basically for a multiple of them. So you write 3 times 6. 3 times 6 is equal to 18. So a nice neat trick that you can do, is to say times 6 times 6. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. Times 3 times 3. Then all you do is get results for your answers. Right? 1 times 6 is what? 6. 3 times 6 is 18. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. You add the two together. 6 plus 3 is 9 over 18. Final answer is 9 over 18. And then you can simplify by saying, if you divide these 2 by 3, you get 3 over 6. If you divide them again, you get a third. But that's more simplifying. I'll focus on that next week. But that's what happens. You can just say that I want a common denominator. So you multiply the two denominators together. After multiplying that, you know that your common denominator is what? 18. And then you just take this one, multiply the bottom to the use it to multiply the bottom and the top. Take this one, use it to multiply the bottom and the top, and then you get your answers. You add, and then you got 9 over 18. But make sure that always when you add, you first change the whole fractions. Then after that, you're going to add them. You're going to add them to get an answer. That's what must happen. So quickly, do me a favor and write this down as well. Write it down. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to do it. Write down everything. Write down everything. Write down everything. so that we can also take out our own and learn, because this is how we learn. So write down everything. Just write down from this sum to this sum and then this sum here. Please, please, please do that quickly and tell me in the chat if you're done. So you write down this, then you write down this, then you write down this. So you have some time left, or a minute left, a full minute left. 1 minute left, you have 1 minute left. 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 So if you're done, you can tell me in the chat if you finished. Wow, beautiful. I see a lot of people are writing are writing as the minute I say they should write. It's good. Means that you forever have notes in your books ready for you to work with. One minute left. 1 minute left. 1 full minute left. Then we go to the next slide. 1 full minute left. Then we go to the next slide. Please keep your video off at all times. Please keep your video off at all times. Please keep your video off at all times. All right, I see a lot of people are done. Let me go to the next slide. I see a lot of people are done. Let me go to the next slide. So, it is possible to use the multiples of a particular number. Why? Because you're looking for a number that all three numbers can change into. But there's a problem about using the multiples of that number. Sometimes it takes time to get them, right? But sometimes you find yourself having a sum where you have three different denominators. And the question you're going to ask yourself is that, but which one would be the lowest common denominator? So that's where the lowest, because it can be called the lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator. It still works out, right? So you can take each of your denominators, you write out their multiples, 8, 16, 24, 40, 48, maybe up to the nearest 7 or 8 multiples. Then after that, you look for the number which they all have first, which is the lowest, which is what? 40, 40, 40. So you know that in each of these fractions, you need to change the denominator to what? To 40, which would be 8 times 5, 8 times 5 here, to change this to 40. This would be 8 times 5. Okay, that's not working out at all. Right, so it'd be 8 times 5 here, and then what if you whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 8 times 8 here because the 5, whatever you do to the bottom, do to the top, times 4 because the 10, whatever you do to the bottom, do to the top. Then I would add 25 over 40, 30 over 40, 32 over 40, and 28 over 40 all together to get my answer. But I don't normally suggest this method, but it does work for people. Like, write this down and then I will elaborate. I'll give you a minute write it down so I can elaborate to say why do I prefer another method which is quicker. So quickly write this down while I take a hand. Hello? 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 All right. I think there's a problem with the mic that side. It's fine. Please write down this. Please write down this. Just write down this one, this, and this. That's all. Quickly for 4 minutes. Not 4 minutes, sorry. For 3 minutes. For 3 minutes, quickly write that down. Then I can show you, because with fractions, it's all about showing. So then I can show you which method works best than writing out the multiples. Because yes, it does help writing out the multiples, but until when are you going to be writing out the multiples? You know, it's always good that you have quicker methods to work something out. Hello?
Sir, do you give us a little work on Saturdays?
Yeah, you're gonna have some work for the weekend.
Okay.
Awesome. Right. Quickly write that down quickly. Then I'm going to show you guys why I prefer that you use the one particular method over the other method. But we are going to also go with this into next week. This is just a basic introduction into it. This is just a basic introduction into it. We are going to go into it again next week. This is just a basic introduction. Just an introduction to get you within the frame of mind on how to actually work this out. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, and you, sir?
Good. You have a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, if you give us homework, will you give us your email?
100%.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir,
Hello?
please go back a slide. I didn't finish it.
Which one?
The last slide.
All right, it's fine. I'll give you my email and then I'll send you the PowerPoint itself.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
No problem. I'll give you guys my email at the end of the lesson. If in case you find that the lesson was just too fast, I will change the PowerPoint into a PDF and then I'll give you the PowerPoint. But if you are done writing down everything here, can I just get confirmation that if you are done writing everything here, that is awesome. If you are done writing everything here, let us go into the explanation that I wanted to do. So, I've got two types of methods here. One method says, let us do this. One method I have 5/2. I love my impropers plus 4/3. Let me get my two improper fractions here. And one method says, what we can do is get the lowest common multiple. So then you write them out. For 2, you write 2 dash 4. You write the multiples of 2. Dash 6. I'll end at 8. Dash 8. The ones for 3. 3 dash 6 dash 9. So the lowest common multiple says, or common denominator says, which is the number that a multiple that they both have that you meet first? And which we say that no, they both have a 6. The lowest one would be 6. Then what you knew? So you know that your lowest common denominator is what? Your lowest common denominator is 6. Is 6. So I need to change these fractions into 6s, these denominators into 6, and changing them into 6. Let me just put this here. Changing them into 6. Whatever I do at the bottom, I must do to the top. So let me start here. I've got 5 over 2 plus 4 over 3, and then I start. To change this into 6 is times 3. Times 3 times 3. To change this into 6 is times 2. Times 2 times 2. Then at the end, you're going to, at the end, you're going to just get the answers. 3 times 5 is what? 15 over 6. And then you say 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 3 is what? It's 6. And then after that, you add the 2. 8 plus 15 is what? 23 over 6. I would show you how to simplify it, but that's not my focus. So you can do this method of actually first finding out the multiples. Then the first number you get that they both have, but it must be the lowest, then you use that as the number that you're going to change the denominators into. Then you know that I must change my denominators into 6. And then you think to say, what times 2 gives me 6? 3. What times 3 gives me 6? It's 2. So what you do to the bottom, you do to the top, and then you add. Let me take questions. Let me take questions. Let me take questions. Hello?
Hi, sir.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good.
So my one and only question is, how can your numerators be bigger than your denominators?
Isn't it that they are improper fractions? They are improper fractions. Improper fractions don't exist.
Okay.
Remember on Wednesday, we did the 3 type of fractions. We did proper, improper, and we did mixed.
Yes, sir.
So the thing is, it's just that an improper fraction is just an unsimplified fraction.
Okay.
That's it. Because example, if we're going to go into simplification, you see 23 over 6, we're going to have to first change it into we're going to first have to change it into what's this word? Into a mixed fraction at the end. Then we have simplified. So proper fractions to exist, improper fractions to exist. That's why I said I want to use an improper so that you guys can learn that, you know, one day when they give you a mixed fraction that's different and another mixed fraction that's different, then you change it into improper fractions, then you use that way.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
I
100%.
wonder
Are you
if I
sure?
have to learn that one at school.
No, it's fine. Remember that maths, there's many ways of doing it.
Yes.
There are thousand ways to do it, to do one sum. There's not always one way to do one sum. So as long as you understand, I'm happy. As long as that will be able to clarify anything that you don't understand, will be fine.
Thank you, sir.
100%. Right. Awesome question. Awesome question. Are there any more questions that we have? Let me just take some questions. Then we're going to the next part. Just know that, yeah, please, please write this down. I know that the PowerPoint pen does not do justice when it comes to neatness, but it's what I have for now that I can use. The PowerPoint pen doesn't really do the neatest of works, but it's what we have that we can use now. Once I find works on a laptop to write out sums with, I'll use it as soon as possible. But I see I've got more questions. Let me take them. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Sam.
Hello. How are you?
I'm thinking, how are you, Sam?
I'm awesome. You have a question?
Yes, Sam. So, what if you don't have the same numbers?
Where?
Like,
Where don't you have the same numbers?
I mean,
Like
like,
it.
I mean, what if they have? What if they like? For example, you say 3/4 and 4/6.
Yes.
What if when you doing them, they don't they don't they don't have the smallest.
Oh. No, I will show you. I will show you a way. I'll show you another way. I'll show you another way of doing that. But that one you just need to remember to simplify most of the time. I'll show you another way in case that you might meet a problem like that. Like sometimes the lowest common denominator is very far when it comes to the multiples, you see. So I'll show you a way now. I'll show you a way.
Thank you, Sam.
100%. All right. I love the questions. I love the questions. Let me just take one more question, and then we have to go into the rest of the work. Hello. All right, doesn't work. All right, awesome. All right. Let us go into this next part. So we've done this part of saying that, you know what, let us use the lowest common multiple, and we draw out multiples and we subtract, right? So I want to use the same what's this? The same logic, right? So I have a fraction like 1/2. No. Let's make it a bit hard. 4/3 minus a half. Right. So let's say that you are afraid of finding the lowest common multiple. Right. What you can do is just say, take the two denominators. What's 3 times 6? 3 times 6 gives you what? What 3 times 2? 3 times 2 gives you what? 6. So that now your LCT for now would be what? 6. Right? Because all you're doing is just multiplying the two denominators and saying no, 3 times 2 is 6. Right? Then what you do is you take this one here, this denominator, and you multiply. Multiply at the bottom and you multiply at the top. Then you take this denominator over here, multiply at the bottom, and we multiply at the top. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 1 times 2 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Then we subtract them. And we say, because they're the same, right? Same numerators. 8 minus 3 is what? 5 over 6. Because now the numerator is smaller than the denominator, there's no need for simplification because a proper fraction is already a simplified fraction. So all you do is that one method says you multiply your denominators, then you take this denominator here and you multiply it at the top and the bottom, this denominator here and you multiply it at the top and the bottom, you work it out, and then you get your final answer. But always when you use this method, it's very important to simplify at the end. It's very important to simplify at the end. So you can use either or method that works out for you. Either or method that makes you feel more comfortable, you can use it to get the answer. I want to give you guys some work, but I want to take some questions. Any question? Let me take some questions. Hello. 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 I've been trying to unmute some of you and it seems not to be working. Let me take some questions here. Took the question. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thanks. And you? What happens if you have the same denominator and same numerator?
That means it's a whole. But it still works for the same.
No,
Even
for two sums. The bottoms are the same and the tops are different from the bottoms, but they're the same as each other.
What do you mean? Like if I was saying that if I'm saying 1/4 plus 3/4.
No, like
Give me an example.
6/9 and another 6/9.
Then you're just adding the tops because remember that the denominators are the same. This is a situation whereby now the denominators are not the same and we cannot minus or we cannot add or subtract with denominators that are different. Remember that you only add and subtract fractions that are from the same family. So we need to make them come from the same family, right? That's why if it's 6/9 plus 3/9, we just work with the numerators. But if I was having 6/9 plus 3/2, I need to change some things. Are we together?
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'll show you what I mean now. I'll show you what I mean. Like as the question came in forward, I'll use addition. Addition is much more easier to understand. If I have, right? If I have 1/4 and I'm adding it to 3 over 4. My biggest focus is just the numerators. Why? Because the denominators are the same, which allows me to add the fractions. Since the denominators are the same, it allows me to add the fractions, which is gonna give me 4 over 4, which is one full whole. It's a full whole, this one, which is equal to 1. It's equal to 1 because it's a full whole. You understand? So in this situation here, I just focus on my numerators. But this situation here, I needed to change. I needed to change the denominators in order so that I can be able to subtract everything from each other. That's what needed to happen. That's what needed to happen. But if the denominators are the same, then it's fine. Then everything works out for everyone. Right. Let me take in the last questions. The last question, then we have to do an exercise. Hello. I think some of your mics don't work, but it's okay, it's fine. Please, guys, here's some sums. Please try them. Please try number 1, number 2, and number 5 for me. Try number 1, number 2, and number 5 for me. Number 1, number 2, and number 5 for me. You have 4 minutes to do it, and then I show you guys your homework. We're going to do the corrections. Do number 1, number 2, and number 5. Quickly, 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 quickly. Number 1, number 2, and number 5. Are we done writing down this? Are we done writing down this? Can we quickly write this down as quick as possible? I hope that we're done writing this down. Just quickly write it down and then tell me in the chat if you are finished. Please quickly write this down first. I'm sorry. Please quickly write this down as quick as possible. And you will tell me in the chat if you're finished. Please quickly write this down as quick as possible. Write it down as if your life depended on it, so that we can go into the class exercise that you guys can practice on your own, and then we close our case. So quickly write this down as if your life depended on it. Please, 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 please. I'll give you guys a minute to do it. A quick minute to do it. Then I'm going to give you guys some time just to work out the example there. Even if you're able just to do one in the short time that I give you, it'll be fine. All right. You have 30 seconds left to write down this example. 30 seconds left to write down the example. 30 seconds left. 30 seconds left. To write down the example. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Please do these sums. Please, please, please do these sums. Number 1, number 2, and number 5. Number 1, number 2, and number 5. I'll give you guys 2 minutes to do it. Number 1, number 2, and number 5. 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 If you're done, tell us in the chat. If you're done with number 1, number 2, and number 5, tell us in the chat. Number 1, number 2, and number 5. $30. 30 seconds left. $20. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. So here are the answers for number 1. Here's for number 2. And here's for number 5. So you can see here that in these instances, they use the other number as the lowest common denominator, because you can see that actually that 6 is a multiple of 3. So all you needed to do was multiply by 2 here, and multiply by 2 at the top. And then after that, just sorry, that's going to be really small. Multiply by 2 at the top. Then it's what? 3 plus, it's 2 plus 1, which is 3 over 6, which is a half. That's what really happened here. We could not really discuss it because I want you guys to actually do your homework. Oh, I said number 1, number 2. Here's number 5. Sorry, I circled the wrong thing. Here's number 5. What I want to do now is I want to go to the homework part. I want to give you guys your homework. Let's go quickly to the homework part. And then, right, here is the homework part. Are there any questions? Just do, for homework, do the following. Do this entire row of fractions. This will be your homework, this entire row here. So quickly write them down, and then if there are any questions, I'll take them now. If there are any questions, I will take them now. If there are any questions at all, I'll take them now. And yeah, if there are any questions, I'll take them now. If there are no questions, then I will show my email address in the last 2 minutes. So quickly get the information down, and in the last minute, I'll show my email address again, so that if you guys need it. Actually, what I'll do, I'll put my email address in the chat. Let me do you guys that big favor so that you guys can have it. So let me put my email address in the chat. And then I'll show it also at the end, as well as my sign off for the weekend. As my sign off for the weekend, here is my email address. If you need these slides, I'll make them a PDF and I can send them to you. So quickly write that down. If you are done writing that, it would be awesome. So I can show you guys that I can show you guys my email address at the end. I can show you my email address at the end. I'll show you my email address at the end. All right. So I take that some of you are done writing down because it's 45. Let me just go and show you my email address. So, oopsie, that's not my email address. Okay, take my email address from the chat and then everything will be fine. Take my email address from the chat and everything will be fine. It's Longway Chiponosio. Please take my email address from the chat. So I will use my email address for the chat. I send my email address in the chat, as well as if you want to write it down, because we're at the end right now. Here is it again, my email address in the beginning, right there. So you can just take my email address and all is well. Guys, since time is up, I have to love and leave you guys. Stay awesome. Please do your homework. I love you all. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful weekend. Mwah.